I wanted to do a video on the Glock versus Sig debate, because you see it on a lot of gun sites, Sig versus Glock. So I'm going to tell you my perspective from shooting Glocks and Sigs for 20 or 30 years at least, and owning quite a few different models of both. So let's look at a few things about these two guns. These are very similar weapons here. These were both designed for the military police market. That's where the design team got started. With Glock, they wanted a military pistol that was dependable. So you got the Glock, everybody knows their history. You got the Sig. The Sig was also designed as to go into the military. It was designed as a military sidearm, the 226. So these are very similar. They're full-size duty guns. Both barrels are approximately 4.5 inches. The Sig being about 1/10 of an inch less at 4.4, I believe. Weight. The Sig is 10 ounces heavier in this configuration than the Glock. So if you don't like carrying a lot of weight around, the Glock might be better. The Glock holds more rounds. 16, 15 and one in the chamber. So it's got the ammo advantage. This one is 12 rounds and one in the chamber. You can get extended magazines for both of these. This is a 22 rounder for the Glock. Customer support. I've had to deal with Sig a few times and I wasn't all that impressed. Glock definitely has the ball on that. I get a lot of stuff from the Glock store and I love them. They've never treated me bad. I've always gotten everything I wanted, and they seemed concerned that the customer was happy. And they make all kinds of gadgets for these. One's a double action, double single. This is a striker fired. Which is better? For simplicity, it's got to go to the Glock. It's just simpler. For accuracy, you got to go with the single action on this one, because both of these triggers have been worked over extensively, but I shot them enough with factory triggers to know the Glock, or the Sig factory trigger, is far superior to the Glock. The Glock has a lot of creep before it engages. At least the other Glocks I have, and every Glock I've ever shot, I can detect it. Whereas this one has extremely little creep and breaks very clean. Both of them break very clean. They're both adequate triggers. They're not target triggers in stock configuration. Comfort. It's got to go to this Sig. This has got the E2 grips on it, which are quite thin. And then I always put these on, either a limb saver or a Packmeyer on my auto pistols. It makes a huge difference. If you're sweating, you get a much better purchase on the weapon. This has got the decocker. There's no safety on it. I don't like pistols with safeties on them. The decocker is fine. Both of these are extremely safe firearms. You can drop this. That hammer will never come in contact with the firing pin. It's a mechanical impossibility. If you drop the Glock, nothing's going to happen either. You do not carry either one of these weapons around with enough stored energy in the spring, whether it's a striker spring or a main spring in this Sig, to ignite the round. So they're both very safe. It's not like a 1911 where you might carry it cocked and then the safety on. I don't like that. I carried a lot of 1911s when I was in the military, and I worked on a lot of them, and I never liked the whole cocked and locked thing, just because there is enough potential stored energy. It's one of the reasons why I don't even own a 1911. And I have owned several of them, and I just got rid of them. That's my opinion on 1911s. Most people don't like that. They seem to think 1911's holy grail. It was an amazing gun, and both of these guns take things from it, from the genius of John Browning. But there's better options out there now. Okay, let's move on. We did trigger sights. Glock sight, or these Sig sights were perfect right out of the box. These are night sights. They're metal. They're not plastic. Wherever I put that dot there, shoots right to where I put that circle at 25 yards. And I've had both of these on a ransom rest before. They're both, in my opinion, adequately to excellent accuracy. Somewhere between adequate and excellent. It's not superb accuracy, but it's pretty doggone good for a 4.5-inch barrel. I've had these both on ransom rests, and with certain rounds, I can get them all in that, pile them one on top of the other at 25 yards, even on sandbags. So they're both, the accuracy of these weapons will exceed that of 99.99999% of the people that ever shoot one of these. The trigger being the weakest part in accuracy on these. And in the case of the Glock, the crummy factory sights. You can see I've replaced this with Dawson's. Look at how thin that is. This is much better for detail work. Adjustable in the rear. At the very least, you should replace the Glock factory plastic sights with good night sights like this. Seems to be what most people prefer nowadays. And we went through weight. The Glock is definitely 10 ounces lighter. That's considerable. Capacity, 13 here, 16 here. This comes with 3 magazines. That's a big deal. Glock really goes all out. I just bought a Browning pistol. It came with 1 magazine. Man, I don't like that, because magazines are part of the gun. If the magazine is bad from the factory, then the whole gun is useless. So the more magazines, the better. I'm going to give that to the Glock for sure. As far as the rail goes, this is a much better rail. This is not a true Picatinny rail, but it's an exceptional rail. This is aluminum on the subframe, stainless steel on the top. It makes the gun somewhat top heavy. Whereas on the Glock, it doesn't feel as top heavy. This is a big slide. Stainless steel coated with nitron. Bore axis. This is one of the biggest things on Glocks, why people like them. Now if you look to see where my hand is, the web of my hand is very close to the axis of that bore, how that bore runs down the gun. Supposedly that's going to make it have less muzzle flip. Makes sense to me. Do I notice a difference shooting these? No. This has got a much lower bore axis. You see that? How far the web of my hand is from the imaginary line drawn down that barrel. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. Some people seem to think that's a big selling point of the Glocks, and it might affect some people shooting, but not mine. I like the fact that I can interchange barrels on both of these and go from 40 to 357 Sig. I can shoot projectiles like these that are going 2,100 feet a second plus in both of these. I've actually chronoed these out of a longer barrel. I think it was an M&P with a 5. Pretty sure it was an M&P. They were going 2160 something. I mean, these things are screaming. A little 65 grain bullet. These have a pretty good bearing surface. You can see how it grabs a rifling. These are simply the best personal defense bullet out there, in my opinion. And I do a lot of bullet testing, and I don't shoot into jello. I shoot into all kinds of stuff. I've shot into dead horses before just to see what happens. These are exceptional. Now you see how that is hollowed out back there? Looks like a badminton birdie. And it looks like that for a reason. It's kind of a takeoff on the Foster slug. Helps to keep the projectile nose front so it doesn't tumble in flight, especially with these light projectiles. A pellet from a pellet gun incorporates the same engineering that this bullet does. They also make it in 40. 1,500 feet a second from this one. I think it's 115 grain. These things are the best thing out there, for sure. And you get a lot of different round choices. You can just go target loads for the 40. Here's a target load for the Sig. The Sig is not a 357. It's not .357 inch. The Sig is 0.355. It's the same as a 9mm. Exactly. So you can think of the Sig as a 9mm super magnum. These are some Barnes bullets here, solid copper. There's another Barnes flying ashtray. These are very hot rounds right here. You got the duty round, police round. This is supposed to help initiate expansion so it doesn't get plugged up with materials that are not conducive to proper expansion, like drywall and auto glass. So these pretty much eliminate that. These are getting very popular. I did a test on these. These are great. They have hardly any recoil, and it's a big bullet for 357 Sig. This round right here is the Grizzly. Shot these extensively. I chronoed these before they were at 830 or 835, something like 1835. So that's putting you up at 700 plus foot-pounds of muzzle energy, right into 10mm territory, and 357 Sig, or 357 Magnum rather. This is a hunting bullet, regular cup and core bullet, very hot Underwood ammo. I try out all the good stuff. This is a big beast here, 200 grain at 1,090 feet a second, just right at the speed of sound. This is a bone breaker right here. But you get a lot of different variety when you can swap out barrels. Which one of these guns do I like better? I don't care. I like them both. Both of them have advantages and disadvantages over each other. But I love both of them. I feel totally competent and comfortable that either one of these would be a great choice for self-defense, anybody's self-defense. These guns have already been cleared about 3 times, so just don't worry about it. I'm not going to show you, okay? Can't stand that where people are all obsessed. Yeah, look, look, look. Yeah. The bullet cannot magically travel through the computer screen. But anyway, that's some of my interpretations. The Sig, believe it or not, these are not that expensive now. You can get them probably in the mid 700 range. I think I paid $730 for this. And I've got a West German one too. The West German ones are not as good as these because I don't like the slide as well. It's a cheaper slide on the West German ones, although some people like that slide better than these. This is a big piece of stainless steel that's been CNC'd, and the German ones are machined differently. Some people like them better. They say that they're not as top heavy as these. top heavy, meaning that there's a lot of weight up here and not so much down here. The subframe's aluminum alloy. Polymer. What do I think of plastic? I've got a nylon 66, which is made out of DuPont Zytel. It's very similar to these glass reinforced polymers that have taken over. These things will last a long time. You don't have to worry about this stuff. This is tough stuff. So polymer or aluminum, which do I like better? I actually like steel better, for target work especially. But it doesn't matter to me. I like plastics. I like polymers, just not on the sights. So anyway, which one's better? You decide. By the time I upgraded this and I put stainless steel guide rod and spring in this one, the sights, the trigger work, it ended up costing probably more than this Sig did new. This is one of my newer ones here. But 40 caliber is not very popular now. You can get some deals, especially on surplus used guns, police and military ones. So anyway, there's a long rant on these and my interpretations. Which one's better? I'll take either one of them's fine with me. Now, if you ask me which singer I like better, David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar, I can tell you the answer there, because I like David Lee Roth better, although his voice only lasted for a couple years. When Sammy Hagar came into Van Halen, I think it turned into pop music, and it was just too cheesy. Although I do like Sammy Hagar, in the band Van Halen, I'll take David Lee Roth any day.